very much able to help you out during our train ride today. This is a 30-minute, 3-mile ride, and you will be seeing lots of incredible things. The first thing to point out would be that we are at the site of the historic DL&W rail yard. DL&W stands for Delaware Lackawanna and Western. This is a rail yard that started in the 1850s, so very old rail yard. You're also going to see some cool things about downtown Scranton. And there will be buildings, structures, trains, vehicles, and people on both sides of the train. You're definitely going to feel a difference from a car and a train when you can feel the motion of the train underneath you as you move forward and backward on the track. You're going to hear some bells, also some whistles. You're also going to hear the train engine and wheels working. The bells do have a significance as how one whistle means stop, which I think we're about to hear now. There we go. One means stop. 2 whistles means okay or go forward. In a little bit, I predict we're going to hear 3 whistles, which means going backwards. And when we get to a crossing, there's a really fancy whistle, so I'll explain that when we hear that one for the first time. Scranton, Pennsylvania was built on anthracite coal. 76% of the world's supply of anthracite coal is found in the Lackawanna and Wyoming valleys. And Scranton is in the north. There's 3 fields of coal in the northern one. So lots of activity during the Industrial Revolution as coal was used to heat people's homes, and it was also used to power steam engines, not just train steam engines, but steam engines and factory settings as well. And customers preferred anthracite coal over bituminous coal because it is more pure in carbon, which means it's less dusty, creates less soot, and also burns cleaner and more efficiently, so you need a little bit less of it to create that same nice heat. Well, we're going into the rail yard today. I want you to look for signs of the 5 railroads that were located here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I want you to look for signs of the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western, the Erie Railroad, the Central Railroad of New Jersey, the Delaware and Hudson Railroad, and the New York, Ontario, and Western Railroad. On our left, we're getting a really nice view of the mall ramp, which was built in 1993. And it was built on top of the site of a former coal trestle. So you can actually see the original cement footings of that coal trestle. Think of the coal trestle as a gas station for steam locomotives, because the trains would be on the track directly next to the coal trestle, and chutes would drop coal into the tender. So not only can you see the original concrete footings, but in a little bit you're also going to see the year that the coal trestle was built. You're going to see 1906. So the DL&W loved using concrete. They were very good at concrete. In fact, so good that it was difficult to destroy when they were trying to build the Steamtown Mall. And they always like to mark their structures with the year that it was built. So you're going to see 1906 here coming up on the left. That fancy whistle because we came to a crossing. 2 long blasts of the whistle, a short, and another long blast of the whistle means we're at a crossing. And Morse code for the letter Q was 2 longs, a short, and a long. And so that goes back to the time of Queen Victoria. And when she approached the crossing, she wanted everyone to give her the right of way. And trains, of course, need the right of way as well because of their size. So, two long blasts, two short blasts, and a long blast is still used at crossings today.
There you go. Someone with the same height in one spot
Lots of cool things to see. I knew you weren't going to be able to hear me with that big diesel, so I was quiet there for a moment. But lots of cool things to see. So we switched tracks. Did you notice? Yeah, we were at the track closest to Steamtown on the other side of the coal trestle or mall ramp. And now we are on this side by the Steamtown Mall. Of course, during the Industrial Revolution, the Steamtown Mall would not have been a mall. It would have been a place for passenger trains. So we are riding on the track for freight trains. The passenger trains would have been exactly where the mall is today. this rail yard was very busy, both freight and passenger trains. Had a very profitable business in this area. A lot of, well, basically everything you see here was a part of the rail yard. Now it's a little bit of Scranton, right? We have the town hall on the left, the Scranton station on the right. And actually, the Scranton station is, that would have been the original roundhouse in 1865. We built the second roundhouse in the location of our roundhouse in 1865. Up ahead, there's a very large building on the right that's brick with large windows. And that is the erecting shop. So that was opened in 1909. And basically, anytime a boiler, a train was having problems with the boiler, they pretty much had to take the entire train apart. So that can be very time consuming. When we built the erection shop, we worked on as many as 40 trains at once. And today, this big old building is run by the Department of Defense, and it is now a munitions plant. I have a large barbed wire around it. Yeah. So on the left, you see a cement platform, and that is where the passenger tracks would have been. And so obviously they did want to separate the passenger and freight trains. It had a little bit to do with safety, but more for profitability, because passenger trains need to go fast, get their passengers to their location at the correct time. Freight trains, you know, depending on how much freight they were hauling, on the slow side actually. So they didn't want the freight trains to slow the passenger trains. Alright, speaking of passenger trains, passengers need a place to load and unload and to buy their tickets, right? So they needed a passenger station. So up ahead we are approaching the Radisson Hotel, but during the Industrial Revolution this would have been the Lackawanna passenger station. And it was built in 1908, which is the time period known as the Gilded Age. And so if you go into the lobby of the Radisson, it still looks like a station, like a passenger station. Very well furnished. They wanted people to be super impressed when they walked through that passenger station. So they used materials, expensive materials from all over the world to show their wealth. So not just the wealth of Scranton, but also the deal and everything. Downtown, known for the site of the University of Scranton. The University of Scranton was founded in 1938, but it did start as St. Thomas's College in 1888. The University of Scranton has 56,000 alumni. All right, so the town of Scranton, Pennsylvania was named after two brothers, Selden and George Scranton, and they came to the area in 1840 looking for business opportunities. So they built two iron furnaces along the Roaring Brook, which is the Lackawanna River right to the right of us. They used iron ore and coal deposits in the area to make metal products. Once we pass the soccer fields on the right, we will get a glimpse of the tops of the iron furnace. It's kind of hard to see this time of year because of all the trees, but what you'll be looking for are circular fences, and that's actually the top of the iron furnace. But what you can see on the left is the mansion that was built by the Scranton family during the Gilded Age. And today it is used as the Office of Admissions for the University of Scranton. So the story of how the brothers became wealthy is kind of interesting. The first product that they tried to make in the iron furnaces were nails. So the nails were very brittle because of the iron ore in this area, and so people were using a hammer on the nails and they were breaking. So not good, right? But then they discovered that they could make iron T-rails very well, and they secured a contract for the Erie Railroad. And after that, the rest is history. They became very wealthy very quickly. And using their profits, the Scranton brothers purchased 3 railroads and combined them to form the DL&W. So to the right is the area where the Scranton furnaces are. Again, it's kind of hard to see them, but look for metal fences that are circular. Alright, so the Scranton brothers formed the DL&W on March 11th, 1853. At its height, the DL&W had almost 1,000 miles of railroad between Hoboken, New Jersey, just outside of New York City, all the way up north to Buffalo, New York. So that connected those important East Coast cities with the Great Lakes, making the DL&W extremely profitable for many industries in our country. Now, Scranton, Pennsylvania is not geographically in the center of those two locations, but most definitely was at the heart of the operation because of